Hi folks. So I thought I would give you a quick video to give you a little introduction to Sketchup Online in case you weren't really sure how to use it. We're going to be using Sketchup Online moving forward, obviously as we're at home. So let's take a look. The way you get to it, please, is to go to Google, the main page, and then up here in the upper right-hand corner, there's this little Rubik's Cube thing. So if you could click on that and then slide down to the bottom, the very last icon here is SketchUp for Schools. It's important that you use SketchUp for Schools. So click on that. Sometimes it's a little bit slow. We're just going to have to all be patient working online. You'll know that you're in the right SketchUp when the person shows up and they're wearing that funky shirt with the funky tie. Then the other main trick that people will run into is when you create a design in SketchUp online, it automatically saves to your Google Drive, but it saves in a funny place sometimes. Sometimes it ends up saving in a Google Classroom folder where it actually doesn't have permission to save things. So what ends up happening is your work ends up getting lost. You do all this work for like, a half an hour and then you think it's saved, but it's really not. So it's really, really important that we follow these instructions to save properly. So these are all the things that I've designed, whatever, in the past, but I'm going to create a new thing. When you guys open it for the first time, it'll probably just open up to a blank document like this. So notice how I have this person with this outfit. Remember how each different version of SketchUp had a different person with a different outfit. So you want to be keeping an eye out for that shirt and that tie. So before I look at the tools, which are all the same as in the other model, they're just kind of hidden in different places. So, but before I do that, I want to make sure we save this. So what you need to do is you need to click on this folder and you need to say save as. And then you enter a model name. So for example, the first thing that we're going to do was like interior, I'll say 3-30. And I'm going to say Edgar. Please put your name in there so that I know whose file it is when I get it. Because I just get, like 30 files called interior room and it's really challenging. So there we go. And now I said, okay, and now it's going to take a minute. Again, it's slow, but it's going to ask me where I want to save it on my Google Drive. So it's important, and I do this every time I make this video. Before you even start this process, please go to your Google Drive and create a new folder called CAD, just for this class, somewhere, on the main level of your Google Drive. All right, great, here it is. So, for example, I have one here called CAD Room Interior. So when you want to select a folder, you have to select it from the outside. If I double click in here, I can't select it anymore. You have to go back out and you have to be clicked onto the outside of the folder and then you click select. So now it's saved my design inside that folder. See how it says saving and now it says saved. So you want to make sure that you always see this saved symbol there every so often. All right, so now we're in and now we can start with a quick design. So basically all the buttons are here on the sides, but notice that they're nested inside of each other, that there could be things. If I click on the paint, there's an eyedropper and then there's a paint bucket. The eyedropper is kind of cool because I can click onto this shirt and see what color it is and it will tell me, which is kind of cool. The other thing that you'll notice on paint is that it will show you all the colors and all the materials that are already in this design. So if I use this color on a wall, for example, and then I want to use it on a wall later, I can find it again in my materials. So it's under this materials here in the house, or you can search for materials by clicking on that. And this is what, we were accustomed to before. There's our fabrics, and here's our cladding and all that. Okay, so under here, and I can close that by clicking on this arrow. Under here, there's pencil, these different curves. Here are my different shapes. Here's push pull and also follow me and offset. These are some others which I haven't used yet. Here's move, rotate, and scale. And for the interior room, we're going to use this tool, the tape measure, but there's also the dimensions and then some other things in here. This is to record a walkthrough, which we're not going to do yet, but we might by the end of the course. And then this here is the orbit and move tools. So orbit, remember, allows you to rotate around. The hand allows you to push side to side, but remember that you can do these functions with your mouse. So to rotate around, you push in the wheel of your mouse. And to push side to side, you hold down the shift key. Let me just go back to this. So let's see, to rotate around, you push down the wheel of your mouse and move your mouse. To go side to side, you hold shift and push down the wheel of your mouse. Let's see, right click doesn't do anything, left click just draws. So really to rotate around, it's push in your mouse wheel, shift to move side to side, scroll the wheel, zooms out and zooms in. And now let's pretend you accidentally zoom out so far that you now can't see anything and you have no idea where anything is anymore. You can use a zoom feature. So, okay, so these three magnifying glasses, this is zoom the window, and this is zoom extents, it's called. But so what this means is if I select something, so if I do Control A and select my design, which is in there somewhere, but I can't see it, and then I click on this little zoom thing, it pops me back into the thing I have selected. So that's kind of a handy tool. And then the last thing I wanted to show you was how to access the 3D warehouse. So actually, one more thing before that. I want to remind you that in the interior room, it asks us to make shapes and give specific sizes, right? So we're going to use a rectangle. Click on the rectangle, and remember you click once to start the design, and then you take your finger off the mouse and you move a little bit here, kind of show it which direction you want to go, and then you type in your coordinates and you do, for example, 12 apostrophe, and be looking at the bottom right hand corner of my screen, 12 apostrophe comma, I don't remember the dimensions, but let's say 24 apostrophe, that's 12 feet by 24 feet, and if I hit enter, there we go, and say I wanted to push pull this, remember you just click push pull and then you click once to start, take your finger off the mouse, and then let's say I say 10 apostrophe is 10 feet, and don't go by these measurements because I know that they're wrong. Then what we're doing is for the room we're getting rid of, if you just click on that corner and hit delete, the delete key on your keyboard, not backspace, it will delete those two walls, right? And then we're going to use the measuring tool to make some measurements. So for example, I don't remember these measurements either, but let's pretend we start in here and we're going to lift up, let's pretend we were going to lift up 6 inches. So 6 inches is quotation marks. See that in the bottom right hand corner? And if I hit enter, there you can see that's 6 inches. And because if I come over here and I do 6 apostrophe, that's 6 feet. So be mindful of the difference between inches, which is 6 inches, which is quotation marks, and 6 feet, right? And then the other thing to notice is that, remember, if you want to make something exactly the same as the other thing, I can start the process and then I can take my mouse and I can wave it over. See how it's snapping to that line right there? And when I click there, it makes it exactly the same. So that type of process is going to be helpful as you do this room design. Okay, and then the last thing is 3D warehouse. So over here, and notice that if you wave your mouse over each of these icons, it tells you what's underneath. So entity, instructor, and this is components. So if I click on components, search the 3D warehouse comes up. And so for example, if I want to search for sofa, there we go. I have a few sofas. There we go. When you put in things into your design from the 3D warehouse, you want to be careful and make sure that they're as small as possible. This one is 1.5 megabytes. I'm going to keep looking and see if I find anything a little smaller. Okay, this one is 0.17 megabytes. That's a little bit better. This one is 3.8 megabytes. That's probably too big. It would end up crashing my design. So you just want to kind of look for some smaller ones that are cool but small. 41 megabytes is way too big. So, all right, I'll just be quick now and I will grab this one. So you grab one and you, oops, sorry, gotta switch back to the arrow, click on the design, it downloads it, and then you're carrying it and you put it into your design. And we'll talk more about positioning things later. But so that's it. This is 12 minutes on this video. It's longer than I wanted to go. But hopefully I gave you an introduction to how to save your documents. Make sure that you remember to click up here, click Save As, and put them in a folder in your drive that you've labeled with the name CAD. And remember to name your files with your last name too, like Interior Room Edgar. Then over here, remember that some of the buttons are hidden underneath other things. And then over here, remember that the 3D warehouse is under components. And to keep an eye out for designs that are smaller. 20 megabytes is too big. Something like this is better. Something like this, 0.12 megabytes, much better. So, all right, hope you enjoy playing around with this. And please let me know if you have any problems at all. All right, thanks a million. See you soon. Bye-bye.